show and tell, right? And the idea of, you know, bringing something into show and tell. How many of us, when we were in elementary school, had show and tell, and you know, it was our opportunity to share with our classmates something about us, something that was interesting, something that they normally wouldn't know, right? But then we progressed through elementary school, and you know, we went to middle school and high school and college and beyond, and we think the whole idea of show and tell was left behind. But it wasn't. Because anytime we're showing up in a place, aren't we showing who we are? And every time we open our mouths or dress in however we're dressing or wear whatever jewelry we're wearing, are we not telling the world something about who we are? So, show and tell. What did you bring to show and tell? Think about that for a second. Whatever you are in thought, word, and deed, in the manner in which you are expressing, you are telling the world something about yourself. Now the thing is, in this teaching, in this philosophy, we're sort of invited to a higher level of awareness. I mean, we're supposed to be a little bit enlightened or awakened or aware, because what we know is that there's only one power and one presence. You know, we have these 11 we believes at the front of the magazine. Anybody in here familiar with the Science Mind magazine? Because if you're not, you need, on your way out, pick one up and make sure you read it for homework, because next time I see you, there will be a test. But in the beginning of the magazine, there are 11 we believes. And if we're going to say we believe these things, then on some level, shouldn't they be showing up in our lives? I mean, if we're going to say that God is all there is, and that another word for that which it is love, then love is all there is. Therefore, love must be everything that we are. That there is nothing between God and us. There's only God. There is only love. That means that even in this human form, this is love made flesh. That from the top of the head to the soles of the feet, love. That every experience we have and every interaction we have, it's love meeting and greeting itself. Namaste. Love seeing itself in each other's eyes, in its eyes. One of the things I always say is that we don't breathe ourselves. We don't. The universe is breathing itself as us. We don't worry about the next breath. Is there going to be enough breath tomorrow? You know, maybe I should save. I'm going to get a bottle or a bag and I need to save this for tomorrow because there might not be enough. We don't worry about the breath of yesterday. I mean, did I breathe enough? I mean, I tried to make sure I breathed, you know, enough to make sure it was a life full of breath, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't enough. What should I do today? We don't concern ourselves with it. We just breathe. But when it comes to this other stuff related to life, money, bam, 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 dun, dun, relationships, family. We lump all of these other ideas and consciousness and paradigms and belief systems in there, and then that's when we get into the funky stuff. Because that's when we start to believe that we're less than. That's when we start to buy into the idea that, but I'm not good enough. And so we start showing the world based upon the manner in which we carry ourselves. For example, if I were to ask you to identify for me how a confident person walks, would you be able to do so? That's an actual question.
Yes.
Thank you. Audience participation. Yes. If I were to ask you to identify how someone who may be depressed or sad or in grief, how do they carry themselves? Would you be able to identify certain examples of that?
Yes.
So clearly, there is something that's going on in our minds and our emotions that sort of out pictures. You know, if you're walking down the street and you see a really good friend of yours, and that's how they're walking, what are some of the things you might assume based upon that? They're not happy, something's wrong, something's going on, and then you approach them, right? So there's some outward manifestation based upon what's going on inside. But how often do we really sit down to think about, what am I projecting? What am I broadcasting to the world? If I am, now there are two sides to this, because we are also receiving stations. We receive, one of those we believe says we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature. We believe in the direct revelation of truth. That means that which God is, that which Spirit is, that which is the I am, communicates directly with itself as us. Directly. So we receive imagination, intuition, love. All of that stuff is direct communication from that which God is with itself, in and through and as us. But we also have the opportunity to be like a radio broadcasting station where we are sending out into the airwaves of creation through our thinking and our speaking. So here we are. Suppose, let's come with me for a moment down the yellow brick road. I want to do a little experiment. You don't have to skip or hop or anything. Just pause for a second. That human mind, and imagine with me. Imagine that there is no such thing as illness. It doesn't exist. Illness doesn't exist, right? Just for a second, imagine with me for this. What would we do differently in our lives? How would we carry ourselves differently if we knew that illness didn't exist? Would we walk differently? Would we talk differently? Would the relationship we have with our physicians be different? Would the relationship we have with practitioners? Because a lot of us put on these cards, I need better health, feeling this. And we ask for prayer about this. So clearly this thing called illness does affect how we live, move, and have our beingness. But the great news is that's only a part of our experience. There's an entire part of our experience that is not touched by illness, disease, poverty, scarcity, lack, or limitation. It's not affected by that. I was recently listening to a YouTube video, and one of the people was talking about, because I do a lot of documentaries and stuff, and one of the people was talking about something to the effect of, why do we try to fight anger? Like we try to get rid of anger. We try to get rid of it. We try to fight it. But right now, and this is what he said, right now, are you angry? And maybe you heard the people in the background, no, then why fight it? Why do you need to remove it when it's not what you feel right now? But see, the thing is, what we do is we conjure it up. We use this thing called the power of mind to bring memories from the past, to have reason to fight the demons of those memories in the present. But all of the abuses I've ever suffered, I suffered then. If I go through it now, it's because I am bringing those memories to the present. One of the things I was just talking to Ellen about in the parking lot today, she was like, so how are you? We haven't seen you in a while. And I was letting her know some of the recent updates. And if any of you watch some of my live videos or whatever on either YouTube or Facebook, you've already heard this. But I'm going to share with the rest of you. So I go to the doctor not too long ago for a colonoscopy, and everything turns out fine. You know, no polyps or anything. Everything is fine. However, the doctor says, because apparently from when you were raped there was damage, and I may want to do surgery. Now, you get this news from the doctor, and I'm looking at some of your faces, you're like, what? You get this news from the doctor who tells you this, that immediately makes the mind spiral back to when this happened in the first place. And it's easy for me to be here in the present, in the doctor's office, hearing this, and go through, well, if this hadn't happened, or if I would have stabbed somebody, or if. But none of that is right now. So if right here, right now, I choose to broadcast, hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Raymont Anderson, sending out into the airwaves of creation, anger and despair from memories from 1982. That's what I'm choosing to do. Or am I choosing to tune in to a different? Am I choosing to broadcast from a different state of being? I get to choose. Each of us gets to choose how we're going to. One of the things we say in Science of Mind and Religious Science in CSLs is there is a power for good in the universe and
you can use it.
Now check this out. Now, not to argue with good old Uncle Ernest, but what if I rephrase this and say there is not a power for good in the universe and you can use it? You are that power for good because it is all there is. The universe, that thing we call God, the I am, the infinite presence, the one mind, whatever it is all there is. So that which is the power for good, that which is good. Emma Curtis Hopkins, since Suzanne mentioned her, says, my good is my God. And my God is my good. They are synonymous. They are not two separate things. There is only one. So that which is the power for good is the universe. It is who and what we are. And we are using it. But what are we using it to do? What are we using it to project? What are we using it to receive? Another thing that Emma says is, what you see is what you be. So if we go into work, and what we are seeing is an employer and co-workers who are, whatever that is, you insert the word. Because I know some of you like to curse. I'm not going to. You insert the word. Whatever that means to you. That's how we feel about our employer or supervisor or co-workers. But if that's what I'm seeing, then what is the me that is seeing this? Doesn't the me that's seeing this have to also partake in the... I mean, if I'm going to get in the pit and wrestle with a pig, do I not also risk getting dirty? So what does it benefit us to use the power of creation, to send into the airwaves of, as Abraham Hicks refers to, stay in the vortex, sending out these vibrations out into the law of attraction and all, One of the things Ernest Holmes used to say was, for practitioners and ministers, if you ever walk into a hospital room and see a sick patient, leave. Because if what you are seeing is sick, you cannot treat from a condition, from a state of, from a consciousness of wellness. The Bible put it this way, you cannot serve two masters. I can't look forward safely and drive backwards. I can't do it. So I cannot go into a hospital room and see, she's thick. Reverend Ray is sick today. The doctor told him, he's sick. Let me treat. No, don't. Because you're treating from the state of illness, sickness, not wellness and wholeness. So when things happen, because they're going to, in all areas of our lives, they're going to, because that's part of experiencing this thing called human life. No blame, no fault. It is simply an experience. When you're playing chess, part of playing chess involves a winner and a loser. But that doesn't mean you are a loser. Nor does it mean you are a winner. Because if there is no winning and losing when it comes to spirit, then you are automatically that which has, you can't even say you won because there is no game to play to even win. You simply are whole, perfect, and complete. Divine, just as you are, no matter what happened in 1980, 79, 76, 54, 70, 90, whenever it happened. It doesn't quantify us. It doesn't qualify us. We're the ones who get to do that. We're the ones who get to determine who do I choose to be? Who and what do I choose to show the world? Do I choose to show the world that I am someone who believes that I am whole, perfect, and complete? Because if I believe it, then doesn't that put a pep in my step? Doesn't that change the manner in which I greet a friend? Doesn't that change the manner in which I cook a meal? Because I know that there is wholeness right here. I know there is perfection right here. I know there is peace right here. So on some level, doesn't that have to change how we live, move, and have our beingness in the world? If I know that we believe that heaven is within and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. Take heaven out and put any word that is synonymous with what we would call God. We believe that heaven is within. We believe that love is within. We believe that joy is within. We believe that magnificence is within. We believe that perfection is within. And that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. The moment we realize that we are perfect, the moment we realize that we are love, the moment we realize that we are magnificence, the moment we realize that we are divine, even in and with our humanness. Because see, what we tend to do is, we go with that, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Yes. But we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience that we call human. Because if spirit is all there is, then what could we possibly do or be engaged in that is not spiritual? If God is all there is, God is all there is, showing up in, through, and as everything, then is this not God sitting on God, resting on the foundation that is God, within the four walls that are also God, with a roof that is, at what point does it not be what God is? Oh, well, God is you, but not the, well, God is you, but not the, well, God is me, but not my mom, not my, well, why is God not you? Because she was one of the people that beat me. Or you mean you're just choosing not to see her as, oh, well, you got to put it that way. Yeah, that's what it is. Of course that's what it is. It's our perception of. There are how many different types of music? Who knows? But do you enjoy them all? No. Some like rap, some don't like rap. Some like Christian rap, but not regular rap. Some like classical, some like light classical. Some like jazz, but vast numbers of, but it's all music. But it's our perception and our filters and our judgments of that determine what we like, what we don't like. I may not like the person that I call my employer. But if I understand this teaching, then I have to understand that she still must be God. Those who abused me, that caused my doctor to give me the announcement that he gave me, they must also still be, even though this me may not want to acknowledge that, hear it, or say it, they must be. Otherwise, I am attempting to serve two masters. I am attempting to be, God is light, I am light, they're not light. Like, does it work? Like, wait, I didn't remember that part of the song. It doesn't exist. Because the moment we acknowledge and we realize that it is all there is and it is what I am, then it must be what every single person and thing and situation. Because if God is all there is, then the vibration of what it is must be intermixed within all of it. Why do you think Reverend Faith said at the beginning, when we were all grounding ourselves, that there is that which we call fire and destruction and devastation happening? But somewhere in the mix of it, there must be. These may not be able to see it. These may not be able to hear it. Right now, this may not even be able to feel it. But if I'm going to acknowledge and say there is only one power, one presence, we believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one, absolute, infinite, and indestructible, then it has to be right there. Not just with them, but moving in, through, and as everything that's going on some level. So then that changes the manner in which we speak about things. It puts a little bit of, Tracy referred to it the other day when we were having a conversation, like there's a silver lining or something. There's some aspect that maybe wasn't Tracy because she's giving me the look like somebody I was talking to was talking about the silver lining. I don't know, maybe not really Tracy. Maybe it's some other black bald-headed woman that I know. I don't know. But anyway, the point is, I was talking to somebody and they were talking about the silver lining, the hope. And oftentimes we try to Pollyanna-ish things. I'm like, that's just pie in the sky, and that's just, it's spiritual bypass and spiritual malpractice and da-da-da-da-da. And yes, sometimes we do engage in, there are those of us who do engage in that. But what I'm talking about is not saying, because even Holmes says, don't say that you're not hungry or that there is no hunger when you feel hungry. Don't say there is no such thing as pain. It doesn't exist when you feel it. You have to acknowledge that there is this worldly thing of effects that we are going to feel and experience certain things. But we do not need to talk about it as if it is truth. It may be a fact. It may be a human reality of our experience, but it is not truth. How do we then speak about truth, even in the midst of pain? Even in the midst of chaos, to speak about it knowing that it is not truth. In the same way that we go to the movie theater and we watch movies, and we watch spooky movies. And one of these days I invite all of you over to watch Tracy watching a spooky movie. It is the funniest thing in the world. For real, I'm inviting everyone over one day to watch a spooky movie, or we all go to the movies on a field trip because it's hilarious. Because Tracy allows herself, and I do it too, but allow ourselves to become so immersed in the film that the theater disappears. That the sofa and all the other things, they disappear. And it's just you in there when the vampire jumps out. And that's Tracy. Because she bought into it. But we do the same thing. We buy into the vampires of a political system. We buy into the vampires of health and wealth or wellness not existing, and dis-ease and illness and scarcity and poverty and war and terrorism. We buy into them as if they are the boogeyman that actually exists. And yes, it is on the film. And yes, an actor portrayed the part. But is that the truth? Denzel Washington received a whole lot of hate mail after he filmed a movie called Training Day. Because a lot of fans were not able to separate the fact that he was such a horrible guy that he received hate mail. I can't believe that you would be such a bad person. It's like, it's acting. It's acting. It's act. Do you really believe that Harry Potter fought an actual snake look? It's called acting. This thing, this stage of life that Shakespeare referred to, all of life is but a stage, and we are but actors. But we get to choose the role that we are going to play on this stage. Because if you are a power for good, because you are good, because goodness is all that there is, then why not choose to come from a place of dominion and power? To be able to stand in the doctor's office when he or she says whatever they say, and you hear it, and you acknowledge, I hear you. And yet, that when a relationship situation is not going how I see it and I hear it, and yet, that when money and whatever's going on in the bank and, jobs and layoffs and whatever, and yet, to be able to be in the midst of it and know, and yet, what I know is that there is only that which is good. And that is what I am choosing to show the world. That I know there is only that which is love, and that is what I am choosing to tell the world. So that even in just my saying hello to the person who is ringing up my groceries in the grocery store, just in how I say hello, they receive the vibration that says, I love you, I see you, I acknowledge you, then I, that is the I am, sees and recognizes itself as you ring stuff up. Then I am going to call you by your name that's on the tag, but the vibration that is calling you by this name knows your real name, and that's what I'm choosing to tell you right now. So that when I leave this aisle, something in you is different. I don't need to see it. There's a story of the man who planted trees, or Johnny Appleseed, any of these old stories that we know. You plant the seeds and you go about your business. Plant the seeds, you go about your business. I don't need to see them grow, I know. We don't need to know that the prayer, that the treatment, that the message, that the talk, we don't need to know and have evidence of it if we trust. Do we trust in what we say we believe? Do we trust and believe in our own innate divine power to be able to walk and talk this thing called truth? Because that makes a huge difference. Do we walk and talk based upon the old paradigms? Or do we choose something new? Do we tune in because it's the habit? You know, how many have an alarm clock that when you wake up, it wakes you up to music? Like wakes you up to the radio or something. We have an option. We can be woken up to the sound of 101, misery, doom and gloom every morning. Time to start your day. Look outside and see how dismal it is outside. Your life sucks. Have a terrible day. That's an option. Or do we choose to say, you know, I'm tired of waking up to this as my default setting? Change the station. Good morning. You are love, you are light, you are joy, you are beautiful, you are amazing. The only thing that your life could be is the demonstration of this. Go out and be glorious. That's an option. Because when we have that in there, then that's what we're going to show the world. That's what we are showing and telling. Let's pray. Anchoring right now in this thing called breath, knowing that it is not our own breath, but that it is the breath of the divine breathing itself as us. From this place of absolute surrender, I speak. I speak knowing that there is only that which we call God, that which we call love, that which we call the infinite I am, the one mind, life itself. And it being all there is, one power, one presence. There is only life, one mind. That mind is a glorious mind, that mind is an infinite mind, and that mind is my mind now. There is only one life, and that life is expansive. That life is loving and compassionate and creative, and that life is my life right now. And what I know is that this truth is not simply my truth, but it is the truth for every incarnation and demonstration of the I am, showing up in, through, and as every person in this room, this city, this planet, and beyond. Love, God, joy, Om, is all there is. And knowing that it is all there is, all that it is, I am. If God is joy, I am joy. If God is peace, I am peace. If God is magnificence, then I must be as well, because that which is magnificence is all there is. So right now I speak this word knowing that health and well-being that is God is me. Prosperity, abundance, and wealth in relationships, in my level and degree of joy and happiness and prosperity and simple pleasures and enjoying of life is right now, because that is all that God is. It is all that I am. It is all that we are. It is from this place of absolute gratitude that I speak this, because I know this truth. I have seen it. I have felt it. I know it. And I know in the same way that these are not my words, but that these are the words of Om. These are the words of the I am. These are the words of the infinite speaking through itself, about itself. placing them back into the law of itself where they are already answered. The infinite law always says yes to itself. Yes, I am healthy. Yes, I am love. Yes, I am joy. Yes, I am you. Released because I know, released because it is done, surrendered and accepted. Together we say, and so it is.
So it is.